Hello friends, this is Angel Soriano. Welcome to today's segment of Ask the DogMan on Facebook Live. So here we are again. By the way, if you're new to the show, this is the show where we offer solutions to canine behaviors and training questions, etc. And we do it live, which sometimes means some things just don't go as planned, if you can imagine. So if it does, just be tolerant and roll with it, because things will probably break. We have new sound equipment today, so we're going to ask for you to give us a thumbs up that you can hear us, and you can hear us well, that you can see us. So give us some sort of indication, okay? So before we start, let me explain how you can engage us here, okay? It's pretty simple. In the comment section below, just type in your question, your comment, whatever it is you want to say. And then typically between myself and James, our producer, we're able to pick up on, what is it that you're saying. Today I'm going to excuse myself because although I have my computer here with me, it's not showing me anything. So technical issues, like I said, when things are open like this, they will go wrong. But he's able to see it, so comment whichever way. So that's how you engage us. You just put in a comment in the section below, and then we're able to tell what it is that you need or what questions you have, and then we try to answer. So if you're out there, sound is okay, give us a check mark, thumbs up, just let us know that we're there. So before we start with the questions today, I did want to talk a little bit about something that we see here daily, and James and I got to talking about this. We see this all the time, and that is, things that as humans we do, and it really irritates our dogs, okay? And we see it often. We see it with other people. Every now and then we screw it up too, and we irritate our dogs. So we got to thinking going, there's a bunch of things that most people just don't know that this irritates the dog, or the dogs just don't like it, yet we still do it. And by the way, they tolerate us. Dogs are great. They're great little creatures. And for the most part, they tolerate our, bad actions, if you want to call them that. So anyway, all that to say that I wanted to spend a couple of minutes here at the beginning of the show just giving you something to think about, okay? And you can agree or disagree. I'm okay with that. Some of them are kind of touchy. By the way, if you have your own experiences as we talk about this, you're welcome to put them on as well, okay? But I want to talk first and foremost about something that I will get some feedback from some of you, and that is hugging, okay? It is a action that most dogs just they don't like it, okay? Now, that's not to say that you didn't train your dog over time, over years to make you believe they like it, and that is that maybe you hug them and they just bury their heads. But for the most part, most dogs just don't like it. It's not an action that they are built for. It's not an action that they were designed for. It's not an action that they get normally in their lives. They get it because sometimes we give it to them, okay? So my input to you on the hugs is if your dog initiates the hug, then by all means hug him back. If he doesn't, then maybe he doesn't want to be hugged, okay? Maybe it makes you feel good, which is probably okay in that case, but just know that those are little things that they kind of irritate some dogs, okay? Another one that came up, and James and I were talking also about this, and that is to have inconsistent rules, okay? And what I mean by that is I can think of one very easily, and that is that you come home from work and it's okay to say hello to your dog, and they jump on you, and you may be the type of person that actually loves that, and you go back to the hugs, right? So this dog jumps, you hug, you love, you do whatever. However, how about that day that you come home with your Sunday go to, church clothing on, right? And you're looking well dressed and everything is great, and the dog jumps on you, scratching you and tearing your fine clothing, and all of a sudden, today it's not such a good idea for the dog to jump on you. So now you've changed the rules all of a sudden, where it was okay yesterday to jump on you and say hello, it is not okay today. So inconsistent rules really frustrate dogs, okay? You just have standard rules. They're all the same. If it's okay for this dog to jump on you or to sleep with you, whatever, then don't be upset when there's dog hair all over your fine clothes because you laid them on the bed, and guess what? That's where the dog sleeps. Have the same rules over and over again. You don't frustrate them. They're fine with it. They deal fine. Just take one punch at a time, right? Now, along with that one, I want to throw the fact that there is such a thing as creating a confusion in the dog, which also frustrates them. They also dislike it, and that is whenever you use multiple commands, or in the business we call it cues. You use multiple cues for the same action, right? So you're trying to get this dog to come to you. He's in the backyard sniffing, having a good old time. You tell him come, he doesn't. You say get over here, he doesn't. And then you start talking to him. You start yelling out commands. You better get over here. If you don't do this, look, have one command for every action. The better you get at that, the better the dog will get at it. And if he doesn't do it, then go show him how to do it. Obviously he forgot, or that leaf on the ground might be a lot more important than you are at this very moment, right? So anyway, have the same stuff, the same commands over and over again. Give us some of your ideas. I have a few others that I wanted to bounce off. I don't want to capitalize on all the time, but give us some of your ideas as you're seeing this. But James mentions, he's flagging me here that there's something on email that came through. So what is that, James?
We have a question here that says, does my dog like it when my kid's riding like a horse? He doesn't seem to mind it, but is this okay?
That's a very good one. It's actually one of my future ones that I wanted to talk about. So, yes, your dog does mind it when you ride them like a horse. They're not designed to be that. If you like the horse idea, then get yourself a horse. But, without being too rude about this, look, even if you have a large dog, and I once had a 115-pound German Shepherd, and by the way, over a dinner that we had at the house, my niece all of a sudden is on top of this dog and he's walking. By the way, he was walking away. He wasn't like demonstrating how he could be a horse for her. He was walking away, attempting to walk away from the scene while she is riding this dog. No, they don't like it. They're not physically made for it, and don't let them do that. There's a whole bunch of other things that could happen if you have a dog that is not well balanced. So no, that's another one that belongs on the list. No, do not allow that action. It's just not right. No matter how big the dog is. I know several dogs right now that one could think somebody could ride them. There's good old Bear at 118, 120 pound German Shepherd that you would think that a small child could ride them, and they probably could, but it's not about the weight, but it's about the fact that it's not a normal action for the dog to do for anybody, and who knows what could happen besides the kid falling, right? So anyway, the answer is no. It's something dogs do not like. So until we get the next one, I can go on to other ones. So the other one is keeping social distance. Okay, and that's something that I want to speak about. And that kids are really bad about this. And I got a couple of them that are kid related, and I'll stay on this subject. And that is, they don't understand that animals need their social space. Just like humans do, you ever have that friend that just comes to talk to you and they get closer and closer and you keep walking away? That's not keeping social distance. That's, getting into your personal space. Every dog has a different set of rules when it comes to personal space. And I would offer, especially with kids, adults are not so bad at this, but especially with kids, I would offer to, do what is right. Just give the dog enough space about this. By the way, there's a couple people I know that have dogs that have no personal space. So if you're watching, give me your input, because I don't want to misquote you. So give us your input in the comments section, and James will read it. But next, that also is kid related, is when they are disturbed out of a deep sleep. Dog's sleeping, he's resting. By the way, dogs sleep every bit of 18 to 20 hours a day. So, it's not hard to believe that he's going to be sleeping sometime while you're not, right? So, a rudely wakening a dog is, it's just, one is, if you have a really balanced dog, it's just going to be rude to do to them. And it's probably not the right thing. And guess what? They don't like it, right? Just like you wouldn't like it. But the other side of it is, if you deal with a dog that is a little jumpy, skittish, or maybe not so balanced, you never know. You may be risking a nip or a bite or something worse. So, don't do it. It's just rude, right? The other part on the children, James, and I know it looks like James got another email, but, the other part I want to cover here is, with children specifically. The younger, the worse they are as far as handling the animal. It's when they start pulling their ears and pulling tails. I mentioned waking them up. As a matter of fact, I've seen some of them actually hit them. It's not damaging. You've got a 2-year-old hitting a dog. It's not going to damage them. But it's just rudeness that the dog doesn't need. And by the way, most dogs tolerate it because you are the alpha leaders of this pack, and you put this 2-year-old in charge of doing these things to them. So they tolerate it, right? But they don't exactly like it. So they do get frustrated. And they get frustrated even worse when they don't understand your rules, right? So if you're saying it's okay to do now, but it's not okay to do tomorrow, that's very frustrating to most dogs. So anyway, tell us your stories about this, because I'm sure you have your own. But what's the next question that you have there?
I wanted to
James?
add a little bit more about that, because a lot of times with clients, especially clients that have younger children, a lot of times what I'll tell them is, give your dog what we call a safe place. And it can be their crate, it can be their dog bed. And anytime the dog is in that safe place, then it's off limits. Your children should stay away from them when they're in their safe place. And then when the dog comes out of its safe place and wants to be engaged by the family, then play with the toys and things of that nature. So that's one good way to try and implement the dog's social space versus, in the family place.
Yep. That's excellent feedback. Yep.
Another thing that I get asked a lot from clients is that their kids will steal the dog's toys and will hide them. And they often ask, is this bad? And I think we had talked a little bit about that, and you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. The idea of a grown up, it doesn't matter, stealing the dog's toys and doing something with it. Look, you can make this really good, or you can make it really bad, right? If you steal these toys because you're just trying to frustrate the dog, and typically it's kids that will do the frustration part because they don't understand it. They just hide the toy, they do this, they do that, or they don't let them get the toy no matter what. They just steal this toy and they don't let them get it. It builds frustration, and when you build frustration in a dog, they don't get more intelligent. Okay, they just get wilder. So one is, you could make that worse if you're stealing these toys for that purpose, or you follow through and you execute it that way. The other side of it, interesting enough, is that we do some of that whenever we teach dogs search or search and rescue or drug search, etc. Meaning we use this toy, this device that they so much want as a reward. We teach them to do the search. As they get better on the search, let's say, the first one you do is a 2-foot tracking or 2-foot search, and they find it 2 feet later, then they get rewarded by this toy. And let me assume it's a Kong or a ball, a squeaky toy, whatever that might be. What happens is that, yes, you stole this toy, but it's for the purposes of working. So he works, he gets rewarded with this toy. And then you go to further distances and harder and, longer in time. And you do this. So, and the dog eventually gets rewarded for doing this action. So if you do it for that purpose, or with that in mind, or with that activity following, then it's a phenomenal way to play with a dog. But just remember, the dog will get that toy. It's theirs, right? They will get it eventually. So you set up a game, they get it. If you set up this game and they never get it, that's frustration, and that, nothing ever goes well when you frustrate your dog. So it's something to think about over time. So, James, you have one?
Yeah, this question's a little off topic as far as what dogs like, but
sure.
Or maybe some of them don't like this. Isaac asks on Facebook, is neutering necessary to have a well-behaved dog?
That's an excellent question. Isaac, the answer is no. Okay, there is so much out in the industry out there that you must neuter, you must spay, you have to do all this. And I'm going to touch on the subject on both sides of it, so you're probably going to hear a mouthful from me. So to answer your question directly, no, there's no reason. There's no scientific papers anywhere out there that say that you must neuter or you must spay your dog for them to be better behaved. Okay, now what there is quite a bit of is the obvious, which is train them, right? Go through the process and train them. If you have a high energy dog, you're going to have to train them even more. If you have a low energy dog, sometimes they learn a lot quicker simply because they don't have the energy to go play around. They just do what you want them to do. But the idea is get on a serious training program, get it behind you, and it doesn't matter if they're spayed or neutered, they'll do it. Now, I'm going to shift subjects to the spay-neuter discussion, and that is that I don't want anybody to walk away here thinking that I don't support it. And the answer is that I do support spay and neuter programs. We're pretty heavily involved in it. We support lots of organizations that do it. As a matter of fact, we're about to do an event here coming up. What date is it?
June 30th.
June 30th, we're going to have an event here in support of our friends at OVMA, which is a program that is specifically supporting spay-neuter efforts in the state of Oklahoma. So all that to say that we support it. Now, understand that if you leave two unaltered dogs, a male and a female, unaltered, in their entire generation unaltered, those two dogs will reproduce to the tune of 67,000 dogs in 6 years. Okay. That is interesting math. So yeah, we support it. Are you kidding? If you're going to have an unaltered dog, then make sure that it's for the right reasons. Meaning, hey, I want to breed this dog. So then if you're going to breed him, is this dog of breeding quality? And I'm not talking about it's your belief that he is because he's pretty or she's pretty. No. What are your papers on this dog? And are they indeed champion lines? Are they indeed unique? Are they titled animals that, are hard to reproduce, hard to find? What's so unique about the specimen? And if it's indeed a unique dog and a specimen, I go after it. Of course I would breed, right? We used to breed ourselves at one point, but it was those type of dogs we bred. Anything else, no, there's no reason to it, right? So anyway, so those are both sides of it. So to answer your question, it was a quick no. What else you have?
Another email I have here. Let me see here. Let me find it. I lost it.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I think my dog should obey me because he likes me. Why is it that he doesn't obey? You think he doesn't like me?
I hear that more often than not, actually. So no, obedience is not about liking. Okay, and I hate to make an association or a parallel with children, but we all want to believe that our children like us, and they do things because they like us. The bottom line is that they do it because you're the authority in the house, and you told them they need to do it. Otherwise, they get it's in their best interest, because either they're going to get hurt, by their own actions, or they're going to get in trouble with you for different reasons. So typically, they do it out of respect, not necessarily because your kids like you. Okay, like I said, I hate to use that parallel, because like I said earlier, I like to walk around life thinking my kids like me, but when things go down, they don't. Dogs are probably not much different, and that is, they do things because you put a great deal of obedience behind it. They know exactly what you mean. You have not frustrated them over time. When you say something, you mean it. When you tell them to come, there's always, a fun game involved with coming to you. There's always a routine that they expect, right? If your dog gets used to the fact that the routine never changes, they know what to expect. Expectation levels are all the same. I'm told by psychiatrists or psychologists, I should say, that kids are the same way. You need a set of rules, and if the rules don't change, they know what to expect. Interesting enough, there's a nice parallel though between the two, if we believe that. So, no, if you're having problems with your dog not obeying you, I'm assuming just by the way that was worded that the dog obeys sometimes and not others. That's how I would assume that. So, if that is the case, your obedience is probably just not sharp enough. That's all. Just, if you're doing 1 session a week, then go to 3 sessions a week. If you're doing it once a day, then train the dog 3 times a day. Make them 5-minute sessions. There's no reason for much more than that. And guess what? If you go to 3 sessions a day when you used to do only 1, you've tripled the amount of work you're doing with this dog. The connection between them is going to be better. Your obedience is going to get better. Everything's going to be better with this animal and you. And the understanding between this dog and you is going to get a lot better over time. So anyway, that was a good question.
It's really just developing that bond with your dog.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. The better you get out of it, the better it is. So, I do have a couple of more points I want to make. You have another email, I guess. Can we wait for this next point? And then, yeah. Okay. Another item here, and kids do this a lot, although I've seen some humans, I hate to say humans, grown-ups. That was a slip. I've seen some grown-ups do the same thing, and that is cornering an animal to give him attention. And it happens typically when you think that, oh my gosh, this dog is, let's say skittish or nervy or afraid or whatever, and you're you're truly trying to give him attention, truly trying to give him love. So what do? You get closer and closer and you try to touch him, and that's cornering. Okay. If the dog is not having it, if your dog or this dog does not want to say hello and it's actually cornering and moving away from you, leave alone. The only way to get them to you is to get yourself nice and low, sit in a corner somewhere and start offering treats and let the dog come to you instead of you chasing them. It just makes them very uncomfortable. That's just not a good thing to do. So, I would not do that. So, James, you had another one.
Yeah. My dog tries to bite my hand every time I correct him by shaking my finger.
Ah, the old finger shake, huh? So, yes, it's not very usual that a dog will try to bite your finger. But hopefully it's not like a real assault, but more of a correction your dog is doing to you or for you or against you. But, I tell you, you're getting nothing out of this. The only thing you get out of it yourself when you're doing this little finger shaking is that hopefully you're feeling better about it. The dog's not getting it, okay? It's not like this means something, unless you taught your dog some hand signals and that meant something. But the point is, have some cues, have some verbal cues that mean something. By the way, dogs, once they grow in your pack and they understand the rules, and the rules don't change much and they're always the same, dogs, interesting enough, they start reading your body language, right? Just like your kids read your body language. When mommy's upset, boy, the kids know it, right? So, similar with dogs, if they've gotten the same cues from you over and over and over again, they'll understand it. Now, back to the finger pointing and shaking or whatever. Look, one input is if your dog is truly biting your finger or whatever, call an expert, and we'll be glad to talk to you about what is going on and try to evaluate that condition. There's a good likelihood that it's frustration again. I mean, you've heard that comment quite a bit today. Frustration. You just frustrate the dog. Why? They don't understand what it is you're doing to them. And why is this little finger shaking going on? And they probably see it a lot from you, right? And it's probably not consistent with a problem or an issue, or the same problem and issue. It's probably any time there's an issue, you go waving that finger. So, don't do it. Stop. And then get into some verbal cues for the problem at hand, right? So if the dog is doing something, then stop, enough, leave it, phooey. Have some verbal cue, followed by some good reward when the dog finally does it, right? So if you tell him to stop something and you've interrupted it and he's looking at you and he's puzzled, that might be a good time to give him some sort of reward for having stopped. Right? So repeat that over and over again and you'll have a different condition altogether and you won't have to wave your little finger at them. So, I have a couple more, James, if I can continue on. But, another one that we see it over here a bit, and that is we deal a lot with anxiety-ridden dogs. Okay. It's a hard topic, by the way. We see a lot of them. We see a lot more, issues with aggression, but we do see anxiety animals. And the interesting part is that there is an awful lot of telling the dog it's okay and giving them physical cues that it's okay to feel anxious when it really isn't, right? And we'll see it in our environment here where, we're supposed to be doing evaluation. The dog gets anxious and here's the owners are hugging and grabbing and giving all this physical love and saying, it's okay, it's okay. Well, the point here in all this is that it's not okay, right? The dog knows it's not okay. They're in a foreign place with some interesting people, doing exercises with them and touching them and doing an evaluation with them. They have no idea what's going on. It is not okay, right? So you saying that it just causes other issues that they don't really care for. If truly that's going on, the best thing you could do is not say that it's okay. Don't give them all this physical attention at the particular point. They're misreading it anyway. You're really praising a condition that you don't want to happen again. So, Mr. Producer.
To add to that, Jim just asked or made the comment, anxiety with thunderstorms. That's a good lead into that. And how to redirect the dog and focus his attention on you through a toy or obedience during thunderstorms.
Yep. So, Jim, really good point. I tell you, anxiety is so huge with dogs. And the interesting part, though, Jim, is that we cause it ourselves. And this is not to attack you because I have no idea what your particular condition is. It could very well be that your dog had storm anxiety from day one, or if it's an adopted dog, it could have been caused somewhere else. But we can make this better or we can make it worse over time, right? And the best way to make it better is sometimes to avoid or ignore the anxiety as it's taking place at least verbally. Be aware of it. I'm not suggesting you leave the room and we're going to watch a movie and let the dog, weather the storm alone. I'm suggesting that you be aware that it's going on, but don't make a big deal out of it. Don't praise the dog. Don't touch it. Don't give it this attention that most humans want to give. Okay. We all want to console. Dogs misread consoling with praising. So if your dog feels anxious over a storm coming, and by the way, they'll feel these storms hours ahead of time because the barometric pressure changes. They feel that and they know it's coming. The end of the world is there. They start acting weird. And most humans grab and touch and love and they do all of this stuff that, like I said, it works on humans, but it does not work on dogs. They misread it, which means that anytime they feel the storm coming on, they're looking for, they're going to act even more anxious to give you a cue for you to do this procedure again. So, change your ways. And I tell this to everybody that we talk, change your ways, create games with toys, create distractions, right? There's so many things that could be going on while this anxiety is trying to build. Why not create a game? Especially if you're there. That's the best time to do it. If you're not going to be there, it's a different story. We'll probably have to talk because there's a lot of things we need to do if you're not going to be there through that storm and it happens. But if you're going to be there, I would plan on it. The very next storm and your dog has this problem, plan on being there because you're going to entertain them, right? You're going to be, an entertainer. You're going to, break out the funnest toys, the funnest, food items you have, the treats. You're going to entertain this dog through this process so they keep their mind off of it and they know that there's something else much better to do with you. So, good question.
Another little question come in here from Mary Jo, slightly off topic.
Sure.
How do I handle a 4-year-old boy and a puppy? My puppy becomes more aggressive when he's around. Should I keep putting the dog and my kid around each other?
Okay. That's a really good question. It's probably going to require more time than we have. I've noticed that we're running out of time here, but I'm going to give you couple of things to think about. One is, anytime you're going to have a dog in the house with a child, they need small introductions and then longer introductions, always with, an adult, a responsible adult nearby. But the idea is to measure what is going on. Kids don't understand very much and they, like I said before, they get into the dog's face and they get into their space and they do things they should not be doing with a dog that the dog is misreading, that the dog does not like. So your dog getting more aggressive, I worry about that term. I'm hoping you mean that he just gets a lot more assertive. If truly there's aggression, like in bark and growl, etc., call us, call a professional, have somebody evaluate this condition and see what's going on with this puppy and your child. But if it's just assertive, then energy matches. Okay, if you have a high energy child, you're going to meet that energy with that dog. The problem is that the puppy is going to hurt the 4-year-old much quicker than the other way around, simply because of the fact that they have nails and teeth and they're sharp. And anyway, so it's going to cause some problems. So all that to say, introduce the dog and the child in small bites, no pun intended, in small segments, better words, and then do it a little longer and a little longer, and then sometimes say, hey, I'm not going to supervise this, but you're still in the room. You're just going to see what's happening 5-10 feet away or so. Anyway, do it in that sort of way, and you'll go a lot further. Anyway, that would be my coaching. There's a lot more to say. Give us a call if you want more. If any of this you're saying, hey, I've done it and it's not helping me, etc., then give us a call. We'll let you know. So, what do you say, James?
All right.
Cool. So I think we're out of time according to our producer. So there you have it, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to Ask the DogMan. We appreciate all of you being here. Look, we do it because we like doing this kind of stuff. We like your thumbs up, your friending, your sharing. If you like this, let other people know. This is the reason we do this kind of stuff. We'll be back in 2 weeks. It's going to be on May 8th at 12:30. And we'll have a similar show to this one. We'll move forward and continue to answer your questions the best way we can. I have a question for you since we attempted to answer some of yours, and that is, please let us know in the comment section. The question to you is, should we do the show weekly or every 2 weeks? Presently, we're doing it every 2 weeks. We'd love to do it weekly, but we're only going to do it if you think, this is what we need to do. There's no reason to chew your ear out if you don't need it. So again, give us some hearts, some likes, some retweets, whatever your method is, let us know. So till next time, this is Angel Soriano, aka Dogman, barking back at you. You asked, we answered.